Yep, Fortune Jail is where you end up a lot of times. Maybe more often than not. As we get into this fifth game here, on board with Spencer's POV, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited. The beginning of every new TFT game is like the dawn of a new day, Keen, full of possibilities.
I'm very excited. We were mentioning, seeing a lot of Olaf and Slayers and mages. What if we get Mage Olaf, Tryndamere Mage?
Mage Olaf, Tryndamere Mage. That would be pretty insane. Does Tryndamere just cast twice really fast? I've never seen Tryndamere Mage actually.
Does he spin twice?
I'm honestly not sure. I've never put a mage cap on him, and I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, you would think so, but who knows?
I don't expect us to see it here, but it is a wishful thought.
Yep. All right. Well, Spencer, meanwhile, has a little bit of a brawler start here. Vanguard, Wukong. Not a bad early chosen just to get a little bit of a win streak to go with, so you could decide to go with that. Doing some scouting, though. All right. What would you do here, Keen?
So the way I think about early chosens is I look at my items, and if I have items that I feel like fit that early chosen, then I would generally take it. And so, for example, a chosen Wukong is a bit of a frontline unit. If I have something like Sunfire or Locket where I can just slam a lot of units in the front, I would probably take that Wukong. But in this spot where you have these three items, the only slammable item is Zeke's Herald, and that feels kind of awkward to slam on a frontline Wukong. And especially even before you got the items there, I believe it was just a sword and either one of those items. Just didn't have anything really slammable on the Wukong, so I think skipping it was probably the correct play.
Yep, certainly seems that way. A little bit more scouting here. We saw a chosen TF over there. But, it's chosen Tristana. Wow, was that two other Tristanas actually, too?
That was
so
five
Tristanas.
Got a
5 Tristana start. That's not bad. Yeah.
I always like saying that, like the chosen with the little babies by its side always feels like when a don't mess with me and my sons kind of thing.
Yeah, don't talk with me or my 1-stars ever again. 2 duelists. Okay, so this is an awkward position for Spencer to be in right now because, like you were saying, none of these items really look slammable, and it's hard to put together a comp early on where you'd want to slam this. Maybe that argument for the Zekes, but it is a little bit tricky. So he's going to just, maybe accept a little bit of a loss streak, tries to position the Zed. And if you're going to try to win it all, you really need to be kind of sweaty about the Zed positioning. So he's doing a good job of that at least. But that Locket's going to be a lot for a 1-star Zed with no items to cut through.
Right. The Zed, at this point, you would only slam the Zekes if you felt like that would help you win. But because his board looks so bad, he ends up winning because he draws somebody who's much weaker. Aegon went to 10 gold instead of... And you were talking about this earlier with Bryce, I believe, about how Aegon has been playing a little more of this like open style and kind of going
Classic
back
Aegon.
to just going back to that role at 3-2 style, and it seems like he's pivoted, leaning that way as well. And it's a very strong thing you can do at the moment.
Cultist Elise. So if you find another cultist, it's great. If you don't, it's a pretty bad buy. But where his board just really isn't that spectacular to begin with, I think it's safe to pick this up for a couple rounds anyway. And if you hit it, great. If not, you just sell and look for something else a little bit later.
Right, and hopefully he does find another one. It's always a risky one to take when, at any situation like this, let's say you have Elderwood chosen, there's no other Elderwood. Always a bit risky because you're praying to hit one more, but there's so many cultists that are low cost, he should be able to find one pretty easily.
Oh man, and it's the feels bad of buying that cultist chosen but not getting cultist and then running into the person that does have the cultist board going already. That's unfortunate.
Little salt in the wound.
A little bit. So Cottontail's going to get the win there. But Spencer right now, at this point, you're just kind of riding this out. You're like, all right, you're telling yourself things like, hey, maybe I can get better carousel positioning this way. Or, maybe a loss streak isn't that bad. Like, it's not the point in the game to get super worried about. We're going to jump on board with Cottontail now, though. See how that cultist board is working out. It was a keeper Elise, but he managed to hit the 2 other cultists to make that happen, and the Jarvan. This is a pretty strong early board, even without slamming any items.
Yeah, this is a super good earlier board. Maybe the rule is whoever's cultist comp wins, the camera just switches over to them. So if he runs into somebody else with cultist, that seems to be how you get more attention. There's a Callista sitting there as well that he could pick up, but you see that he's sitting at 0 out of 10 on the XP, which means he hasn't leveled at all, and so he's definitely prioritizing econ, just getting right up.
Yeah, not a bad idea. If you have a board like this that you're fairly confident in, at least, if not winning, then taking pretty good losses. But I think you can expect to win with this board more often than not against the rest of this lobby. That's for sure.
Looks
like he's going to get another one. I'd be so happy right now if I was Cottontail. Getting wins, not having to commit any items. Like, this is pretty ideal.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot. So one of the things that he's one of the players that was sitting right at the very last. I think he had 8 points right there with Bertosaurus. So from this spot, he has to be asking himself, okay, what are potential ways to transition from this opener into a win? And one way to potentially do that is maybe he can get the 4 keepers up online, 4 keeper, 3 duelists with some DPS on the side, and you're just trying to go up to 8 and hitting some good stuff. That's one of the reasons he's probably sitting on econ a bit more instead of pushing stuff. But now that he's won a couple of fights, I would expect him to level 5 right after this carousel.
Yeah, certainly could. Definitely one of those situations where an early level is warranted in a lot of cases. We'll see. He's just enjoying staring at his board, just thinking about how wonderful it is. Can't blame him. I would be too. There's another Callista. There's another.
Oh, you got the
you
little...
don't really need to pick up the Elise. Ooh, Lantern.
Nice little Lantern early. Yeah, so
oh, okay. Wow, that was perfect. Free-handed justice. You're going to be happy with that.
Yeah. He should probably hold the Callista here. He should expect to win this fight. Sell the brand and hold the Callista. Because one good comp you can have in the mid game is you run Callista over TF and you find another duelist, and that's a really, really strong mid game comp. Whereas with TF, it's like, what's your 6th unit gonna be if you end up keeping the TF? It feels a little difficult.
Right. You can always just add another keeper in, because why not? Another assassin doesn't help you a ton. He's going to be able to get... you missed the Tristana with the cards, but that said, Galio's going to take care of it right down on top of the Tristana. Elise pretty tanky. Looking okay. That Braum chosen is going to take a long time to take down, but I think he's got I think he's going to have the time to do just that, and Bertosaurus is going to lose a little bit of HP here. But, I mean, if it were me, again, this is me, I'd be, looking at keepers here, because... If you look at the items on the TF right now, the Hand of Justice is great for the Xayah down the road. The the bow is not as useful, but it can be turned into a Giant Slayer if you get an extra sword. Probably want to save that other one for something like a Guardian Angel, or even building something like a Static Shiv is not bad in this keeper comp, because it does let your Kennen ultimate hit that much harder.
We also did just see it take a first, so in a position where you do need a first, we have seen the keepers are capable of doing it, so long as you hit what you need to hit.
They can. He's got a maybe situation for that. We'll see. Meanwhile, Villet has the Divine Chosen early on, Divine Chosen Wukong with the Runins on it. Wukong can be a little bit of a tanky damage / kind of hybrid carry in the early stages of the game. There was a point in time where Bonky Kong was a build and people just went for the Wukong 3 with damage items. But for now, he's just a solid early game item. I said walking forward, can they survive the Dragon Soul? Not quite against Sox's board.
Yeah, he'll take the loss there. Wukong's one of those units that the Chosen Wukong is a pretty decent item holder for the likes of, the Olaf. He's sitting there with the Runans. Anytime you see the Runans, that person's probably leaning towards Olaf already, and especially with the Wukong Chosen, definitely in a good spot to be leaning that way.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's an item that's useful in a couple different situations. If you happen to hit a lot of brawlers or something, you can put on the Shyvana as well. So it's still one of the better items in the set. It's not quite as great as it was a patch or two ago, but it's still not a bad slam early for sure. Let's see what Krugs bring him though.
Runan's got to be one of the items that has undergone the most change, because it used to be completely useless and nobody would ever build it. But I feel like once it got shifted, it's either getting nerfed or changed like every other patch now, or not every other. I'm exaggerating, but it has been changed a lot.
Well, it's just one of those items where it's easy to make it too strong and it's easy to make it too weak. It's a difficult item to balance, but I kind of like where it's at right now in the meta, where it certainly does have its uses, but it's not this like build it every time kind of thing. And there's the Last Whisper. So like you predicted earlier, Keen, I think it's definitely the Olaf direction that Valet is thinking.
Yeah, the Last Whisper's gained a lot of popularity recently. I think because the frontline units, the Sejuani and the Aatrox, are so good in so many different comps right now. Like Sejuani Aatrox literally fit in anything you want to play at the moment if you just move a piece here or a piece there. And so the Last Whisper will really help you cut through it. And like I think I was looking at Spencer's profile earlier because I was trying to see what are they playing in the last 20 games, and his two most played units in the last 20 games were Sejuani and Aatrox, and it was by a considerable margin too. So
no shock there. Yeah.
Last Whisper just very good in any situation right now.
Yep, it's definitely the stock has definitely rose. That's for sure. Kyun now trying to get this TF to work, and that's a pretty strong TF with the items. It'll obviously get transferred later, but looks like for now, that's stunned right at the end from the Wukong. Oh, but the Tristana woke up just in time, and Kyun able to win that round. That was a close one.
All right. Kyun, another one of those players sitting, I believe, just out of the bubble at the moment. So, he'll also need to put in some good performances down the stretch here.
Yeah, he's a bit on the low side, but he's certainly within reach. He can definitely catch up. Ooh, interesting thing to think about. The Darius Slayer. It's not one a lot of people would use, so not too surprised to see him pass that over. But look at this. This Enlightened Chosen Janna, probably one of the best 2-cost carries you can use in the mid game because she just keeps your board so strong. Gives a little bit more power as well. Yeah, I think it's a really nice pickup for Valet.
You saw him roll it down, which is what we were talking about just a while ago in terms of people just rolling on 3-2 right now, even though he's at 90 health. Conventional wisdom in previous sets and previous patches even, maybe you just sit with this much health, but you saw him roll a lot of gold there. And he chooses not to pick the Olaf, so it looks like he's leaning to a different direction right now.
Yeah, I mean, other users of those items, I suppose, could be the Tryndamere, but again, that kind of falls into the sort of Slayer vein. Right. Maybe, the other possibility is I don't know, he's got the Morgana. Is he maybe thinking Talon now because he's got that Chosen Enlightened already? I mean, you could just put this in and have 4 Enlightened right off the bat here, but I'm with you. I'm a little bit surprised the Olaf didn't get taken. We'll see what the plan is here.
Yeah, especially with the Runan Slam already, and maybe he's decided maybe he's saying it's too early to hold it and he needs to econ, and he's saying, like streamers love to say this when they pass on a unit. He's like, Olaf will come back later is what they will say, and so we'll see if he ends up transitioning. Otherwise, the other options, because like you said, usually if you want Tryndamere, then you're going to hold the Olaf anyway, which leaves the other option available that would use Last Whisper is the Sivir, which we see on Bert's board right here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that Nautilus is pretty nice as well, just getting a little bit more CC. But these sharpshooters are going to be doing so much damage. This is a great board for Bertosaurus. I'm surprised he's actually as low as he was. He must have had a pretty good 3-2 roll down, and is now in the process of recovery because he was down to 54 health. That's very rough. Meanwhile, Aegon right below him. I wonder if Aegon's going to be able to turn the board around in the near future here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Aegon's playing. Bertosaurus' board is, with this kind of gold, this is not a position I would expect somebody to win from. So if he's able to pull off a win here, this would be a game to study for sure, to see what kind of moves he ends up making. Because he definitely still needs to take that first, but he's in a spot where he's got 10 gold. His board is kind of stuck right here until at least 5-1. So, but fortunately, as you said, it looks pretty strong. So perhaps it can carry him until stage 5.
It's a lot of good, just generic stuff right now. The blue buff Yuumi is obviously very strong. Having the locket on a 2-cost makes your backline that much tankier. And then the Hand of Justice Last Whisper can be transferred onto, like we were talking about, an Olaf later, possibly. But it's gonna, like you were just saying, it's gonna need to be a first or at least a second to give him any sort of shot. And you can kind of tell by the expression on Bertosaurus' face that he's a little bit frustrated right now. And who wouldn't be after the day of results that he's had, especially after his performance in the last tournament that went so well. So it really is all about that mental fortitude. And a number of us have been saying over the course of this weekend that it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You need to kind of keep it together for a long time, a lot of games over a long period of time, and that is tough. That is a real test of a pro player.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marathon until it needs to be a sprint, and he needs to be in sprint mode right now, right? And
pretty much, it's the last 100 yards. Yeah.
We'll see if this comp's got it. I mean, I personally don't believe in this comp to be in this spot right now. The way to transition this comp to a first is with the item remover, you hit Samira, you pop the items off of Sivir, and you put them on Samira. And that would be one way to kind of transition to a first. But you'll see that his gold is not in a very good spot at the moment. Relative to the lobby, it's fine because a lot of people have been rolling. But relative to being able to get a spot where you need to have money to find Samira, it's going to be difficult.
Triple locket. Wow, as we go in with Aegon. And so, you know, it looks like he's going for the Tristana build again. He has loved going for this Sharpshooter's reroll comp, getting the Diana 3 online for the tankiness, Tristana 3. And again, if he gets that Diana 3, that is going to be a lot of shielding from those 3 lockets. So you can see where he's trying to go at this. It's just a matter of kind of getting there. Rolling slow, though, that's the thing. Like, Aegon is never a player that's going to be intimidated to go down to low health right now. He is not feeling the pressure to do any more rolling than he absolutely needs to. And with triple locket, honestly, the combination of damage is at least delivering him some pretty good losses like we saw just here. I love it, though.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is very similar to Moonman comps from last set in terms of how you're supposed to play the roles and the kind of units you're looking to hit. Diana even being an overlapping unit, but the idea of getting the Spirit in with some DPS in the back line is a pretty consistent type of comp that has popped up in various forms throughout the sets, and in this case it is the Sharpshooter variant, and I'm imagining he will pivot out of it depending on which Chosen he hits, because he still doesn't have a Chosen, so definitely interesting to see him force this comp without the Chosen, so he must believe in it quite a bit. I believe somebody was saying he 20 out of 20'd it on ladder recently.
Yeah, and if you look at what Aegon was doing yesterday, he did play this comp yesterday as well. He played it earlier today, in fact, so he certainly does believe in it, and it can be strong. There's that Diana 3, and this is exactly why. When you hit that Diana 3 and you start to hit the other 3 costs, there's the Nidalee. He's just kind of far behind on the Tristanas this game, and that's where things get a little bit tricky. So probably not going to be the strongest version of the comp that we've seen from him in the past with this, but you know he's going to try to make it work.
Yeah, so this is what I would have done at this point too. You're so far away from the Tristanas that I think you just give up on the Trist and have somebody else carry, and that's exactly what he did.
Yep, that Diana. Look at all the shields. Holy cow, that took forever for Villay's board to cut through, and it's going to be a win, but that was pretty interesting. That said, I am a little bit worried about Aegon this time around. I don't know if he's going to be able to bounce back quite as easily as he has in the past with these builds.
He still doesn't have a Chosen, which is not a good spot to be in. If he gets really lucky here, you're praying for like a Chosen Sivir and trying to 3-cost something like that. But to be in this spot still where you don't have a Chosen, you have 30. You just took a 6-unit loss. You don't have the Tristana 3, which is the thing that would have really stabilized you. So definitely a weird situation to be in.
Yep. All right. Doing some scouting here, that's another thing where it's like you need to do a lot of really aggressive scouting if you want to make this work, just to make sure the Diana's jumping into the right place, make sure your damage carries on the right side. Runs into Chess Mage, who also has that Chosen Tristana, also has a little bit of Sharpshooters going along with some Keepers to keep that defense shored up. Aegon confident he's going to win that fight. He does, and let's do a little bit more scouting. So Aegon not quite dead yet. Bertosaurus on a win streak, by the way. Check that out.
Yeah, I mean, Bert had a really good... We saw the board at 3-2. It was really strong-looking board. That was the type of board that looks strong even for a stage 4. And so the big question for Bert then is how is he going to transition it into a level 8 and maybe even a level 9 comp if he's hoping to win. So definitely keep an eye on it.
All right, well, let's see what Sox has up his sleeve. This time around, it's going to be that 4 Vanguard. He's got the Tristana there. So looking at this long term, picking up some Sivers, but just kind of doing the mismatched Sox thing and just playing, the best board he possibly can right now. And, again, positioning it well, making sure that he's got a couple tanks in the back line, making sure that his carries get the time they need to do damage.
Yeah, these items feel bad, though. You have really one item for a carry, which is the Hodge, and the Hodge is always kind of like it's kind of like a secondary item, except maybe just on Xayah, it's like the one unit where it's super like core even. And so he takes another bad loss here, but he's got a ton of gold. He's gonna all in next turn on 4-5, and he needs to be able to spike and have a really good roll down here. I'm a little worried because Sox isn't the best at a single turn roll down, and that's exactly what he needs to be able to do on 4-5 to kind of stabilize here. He really can't afford too many more losses.
He had a bit of a rough game last game as well. He ended up taking a 7th in that one. That was, of course, after 2 first places in a row. So points-wise, he's still doing pretty well, but he needs to at least kind of finish in the middle of the pack for the next couple games to ensure himself a spot next week. Yesterday, he did look a little bit shaky as well, but again, I'm going to say it. Like, if he can survive today, he is going to be a huge force to be reckoned with going into next weekend. Just by virtue of him being the player that improves over time.
Yeah, I mean, he learns a lot. Give him time, and he'll definitely do it. So, leaning towards the Kale. Yeah, he's just hard committing to it. You see him level. He should roll here. Oh. Wow, just straight up skips that. Doesn't even think about it.
Yeah, you don't really have the items to support it right now, I suppose. So, looking for something to kind of enable that Kale a little bit more. Nice Lee Sin hit there.
Nice
Yone, okay.
So he has the Nico's help.
Yep. So he does have that Kale too. I would imagine that's what he's probably going to build. Yeah, getting that Kale too and is pretty vital at 36 HP. I wonder if he's going to take that Vanguard Sejuani. He's kind of thinking about it. It would be a strong chosen to shore this up. I like it.
You definitely should. You have your 2-cost Kale has already been hit, so it's not like you're like, what other chosen can you possibly hit? And honestly, Vanguard Sedge is maybe the best one you can even find. Maybe Aatrox is a little better, but you already got the Kale.
Yep, you're gonna be pretty psyched about this. Oh, that Xayah though. Getting untargetable for a second is the way you win a lot of rounds with that Xayah, and Cottontail takes a couple rounds there. We're going to jump over to his view, and this is a really good start for the Keeper comp right now. Elderwood Spat is actually something you can use pretty often to get that 3 Elderwood with Rakan and Xayah as well, so I don't mind that at all. Kennen is one cloak away, one Negatron cloak away from having arguably perfect items in Morello Ionic Spark GA. So pretty good start for Cottontail and the Keepers, which sounds like a great band name, by the way.
Cottontail and the Keepers, I like it. Who's this chosen unit? Is it? Oh, it's the Elise, so you just kept it.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's a nice thing with playing this style is that if you get the items to support it and you hit that Keeper release, you can just be like, all right, I'm Keepers this game, you know?
Yeah, so this is definitely, having the Keeper release is a very good, hey, this is a top 4 spot, but he's in a spot where he needs a top 1, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to end up getting there, because his gold's kind of in a bad spot to hit the Kennen 3. He only has 3 of them, and he already has the Xayah 2, so the board feels kind of capped right now, and he'll still be able to win fights, but he's going to need to get stronger in order to win. So there's 4 of them. Maybe you can hit 8 and just kind of slow roll a little bit and hit the Kennen 3, but it seems like that's probably the win condition at this point, right? Is the Kennen 3?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to probably transition this board into anything else at this point. You have a strong version of it. So, you know, you have a pretty good economy. So now you try to go probably, you know, 8 as fast as you can and try to hit that Kennen 3. The other option is to roll at 7 and go for like the Jarvan 3, the Rakan 3. Those can be very strong units to sort of shore up everything else. But the Kennen 3 is really where it's at in terms of actually winning, and then being able to add those little side synergies at the end, like Cultist, just to get that little bit of extra crowd control with the Galio, or Samira. You can go for the Slayers side of things as well. There's another Samira. Ooh, but he passed it.
He skipped it, and he just rolled over. Okay,
you did. Yeah, and you wouldn't normally. Oh, go ahead.
Aatrox is the thing that is like the low-key MVP of this comp, just to be able to pull everything in. It was definitely a little surprising to see him roll past to Samira, though.
Yeah, I mean, Samira, the Slayers kind of style isn't something you use a ton in this build. It can work in a pinch, but we're talking about a first place here. So we'll see what he goes for. The Kale as well. You can get Executioner rolling. That helps the Xayah a little bit. He ended up slamming the Locket, which, you know, again, you're not going to get any more item components probably at this point in the game. So it's the best item you can make with that. And again, if you can find the Kennen 3, then you're going to have that extra shielding on the front line, which is nice for the Aatrox and all that. That said, just barely gets a win over Bertosaurus there. It's a strong board, but like you said, can he get that first? He's going to need a lot more Kennens. That is good to see right there.
Yeah, the cannon coming in there. The Zaya's been clutch for him a couple fights now. I know you mentioned earlier, Doa, that you like running 4-keepers sometime. Is there ever a world in which you would have sold the Elise and maybe play 4-keeper? Does that have a higher ceiling if you're able to hit a better chosen?
I think it can sometimes. 6 keepers is the safer way to play. 4 keepers enables you to do kind of wacky stuff with your side synergies, like go up to something like 4 executioner. If you happen to get like a Kale and a bunch of good Kale items late game, you can add that in there and then have Kale be your secondary carry instead of the Zaya, or along with the Zaya sometimes. You can do like a little Slayers thing if you go 4 keeper, if you get good Olaf items. So you can sort of be flexible with that in the end. But 6 keepers is the just objectively safest way to do it. So you don't really want to do the 4 keeper thing unless you have a really good reason, basically.
What if the really good reason is you need to get first?
It can be, yeah, but you can get first with 6 keepers too. It's not a one or the other kind of thing.
I see. Well, here's Bert, and we mentioned Bert needing a first as well, right? So yeah, he's playing like I mentioned. The way to win with this comp is hitting 9 and getting the Samira, and so that seems to be exactly what he's doing. If he loses this fight, you'll probably see him level right after the carousel, sell the Teemo, and look for a better chosen. If he happens to lose or win the fight, you might see him read out a couple more turns and wait until after the minion round, or until a turn where he actually loses.
Indeed. It's an okay board. This lobby is actually pretty tight right now, 5-3, and we've still got 7 people alive. Spencer, unfortunately for him, dropping out in 8th. But now it's a battle to just stay in the top 4 here. Look at Chess Mage on the other side. Only that Kale 1, but pretty strong Kale items. The sharpshooters are weathering the storm for the moment, though, and that Yuumi with the blue buff barely keeps people alive. Man, that last Yuumi cast just pushed him over the edge.
Oh man, it's always a little painful watching your units do that like death march towards the RFC KO, and you're just like, can they get there in time?
Mm-hmm. And here we have Zaya doing Titan's Resolve Zaya things apparently. Aegon gonna take a loss right there. Chess Mage down to 6 HP. This is a close lobby.
Yeah, there's still a lot that can happen. Bert's in a good position to actually take the first, having won that fight there. I'm curious to see if he'll actually level here. I think if you're playing for the first, all you need is 1 health. I think you probably just greed 2 more turns and then all in after the minion round, and basically you have to play it perfect, but if you have to get a first, I think that's the way to do it.
So he went for, did I see that right? He went for the Vanguard spatula item, or was that the Gargoyle Stoneplate?
No, I think you saw it right.
Sometimes. I think it was the Vanguard spat item. Yeah, he has the Braum on the bench, so he could go up to 4 Vanguards. And add in like Yuumi Vanguard, Shen Vanguard, or just put the Ornn in, forget the Braum. Mm-hmm. Or you could go Set Vanguard too, but I like keeping the Shen in for Mystic right now, so you probably don't want to make that swap.
Yeah, so that seems to be what he's doing, is just greeting a couple of these rounds. He's still pretty strong, where he shouldn't get like 6-0'd or 5-0'd by anybody. That's really the only situation in which he's really in trouble, is if he gets back-to-back 6-0, 5-0. But right with this board, he should be strong enough where that's not going to happen, and it should leave him with about 20 health at worst after the minion round. And at that point, that's when he needs to hit the Samira. If he gets Samira 2, he can win this lobby.
Kyun with that newer school Aurelian Soul positioning, putting that in the front line so you can get that shot across the units that'll line up like those Vanguards did. Teemo just walking forward. Can that Aurelian Soul get one more cast off? Oh, that was so close. Kyun wins the round. I mean, I guess there was the GA, but I think the GA had already been popped on that ASOL.
I think so. That was definitely the last ditch right there, but a perfect loss for Bert. He's happy with that. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't really care if he wins these 2 fights. He just needs to survive until 6-1, and now he's going to be able to do it. He'll have 40-ish gold to roll down for a 5-cost chosen. Ideally, it's a Samira or a Zillion. Find anything like that, and he's going to be in great shape.
Right. See how he does against the next opponent here. But I like this. It's a bit of an unorthodox board, and it could definitely still get stronger. But he's piloting it well. Now Sox comes in with the Kale 2 and the Trap Claw, so that could be a little bit of a struggle. That Sejuani is pretty huge as well. That said, can Kale carry? That's what it's going to need to be, and it's going to be another close round here. Oh my gosh, the Kale rolled healing on the Hand of Justice, I think. Yep.
Wow, that was the healing. But it's another perfect loss. Like, these are 2 perfect losses for Bert going into the minion round. He should sell the Teemo right now and roll next turn.
Not surprise me too much. Gonna go ahead and do it now, I suppose. All right.
Yeah, you just sell. It gives you the free chance at a chosen on the 6-1 turn, just from the board flopping.
Mm-hmm. You'd have to level to 9 before the round rolled over.
So that's exactly what he does.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it gives you the free roll on the flip, and then it also makes it easier for your transition. So you don't have to do that next turn. You just immediately level. You start pressing D. And
Sharpshooter Samira, let's go. Where is it?
If it comes.
Yep. Oh, all right.
The
Orin, not really what we're looking for. Uh-oh. Oh, Vanguard Sejuani. Yeah.
He does have the spat, but yeah, you need a 5-cost chosen if you're going to go 9.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good enough either.
I mean,
he's thinking about it. Oh, it's blue buff with the... it can become a Vanguard, so...
Exactly. Yeah, that could end up being very strong. Lockets, that priority there.
So he just took it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like I said, Samira I still feel like is the actual win condition for this comp, but you're not going to hit anything. Might as well take this. It's not bad.
This Lee Sin's taking forever to punch the first unit off. Meanwhile, the rest of his board is so tanky that Valet is having a hard time finishing this one off. Oh, but it's Lee Sin, the Lee Sin.
Better Lee.
And may the better Lee win, right? Oh, they're punching each other. It's Mortal Kombat, but now the Tryndamere comes in. Oh, it was a tag team match all along. Let's see. Oh, no!
That Lee Sin, better Lee.
Oh, punted right before the ult came through. Let's go see what Valet's board is able to do in the following rounds. But man, what a heartbreaker for Bertosaurus. He felt like he was strong there. Not the ideal chosen, of course, but the Lee Sin should be strong enough. But then you meet your clone, and it's scary. You know, there's a lot of movies about fighting your clone.
What is that famous Bruce Lee quote about? I fear not the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That we have the better Lee on Valet's board.
I suppose both Lee Sins have practiced the same amount of every kick the same amount of times. What does it mean? Anyway, on board with the duelist now. Valet, we'll see if he can get the win over Mismatched Socks and that pretty strong Kale board. Azir 2 is going to help buy a lot of time as well, as Sejuani doing a lot of work too. Yep. Lee Sin.
Lee's still alive. GA's up. They're on the Kale technically, but
yeah.
Looks like Kale rolled healing again. Ooh, Valet survives with 2 health though.
All right. Still in it. Still a chance to hit that top 4. Yep, that's right. And Aegon, the player that we should really never be worried about, no matter what his board looks like, and no matter how much his HP is going into like stage 4 or something, is in a spot to take another top 4.
Yeah, I mean, doing well with that comp there. If that comp is good enough to get you up into this range, you slam it every game. He didn't have a chosen or anything. He hard forced it from a spot where most people would not, and it's working out.
He's played it a lot, and he's proven it's a strong comp. So I would imagine we're going to just see him keep playing the style until it stops working. Aegon does hit Samira too, by the way. So that's going to certainly help a little bit. Now it's going to be Aegon versus Valet, a battle for survival here. There's a Zillion in the back line as well. So
Lee kicks Samira off.
Oh. Yep, that's a problem. All right, Diana gets in the back lines, not going to do a ton of damage, but she is pretty tanky. Lee Sin trying to do work here. Another punch onto the Shen. Shen is going to exit soon, but the damage on the Lee Sin is pretty big. There's a GA. It's going to be another really close round. Tryndamere, though, knocks Aegon out in 5th, it looks like. It came down to the wire. No, a 4th as Bert goes to -2. Oh, man, tragedy for Bertosaurus, but Aegon manages to sneak a 4th in with that comp. That's pretty impressive.
That'll do it for Bert. I think... I don't think taking the Lee Sin for Bert was the right play in hindsight. Like, it sucks to not take it there, but I mean, you're in a spot where you basically need one specific chosen to win the game, and of course, chasing it is bad when you're considering ladder play. But in a spot like this where you have to get first, I don't think he could have taken that Lee Sin. Probably just eat one more loss and then pray, and if you don't hit it, you just lose. But you lose either way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations that you're going to be going through in your head, you know, over and over again after the game, and you know, there's no doubt in my mind that a lot of players, most players, would see a chosen Lee Sin like that and be like, oh, well, this is really strong. I've got the blue buff. I can really make this work. So you can't fault him for the decisions so much. But, you know, unfortunately, in this particular case, that Lee Sin just kind of met his match. Meanwhile, Valet versus Cottontail here. Keepers versus some duelists along with the Olaf.
That is scary. Do you see that Zillion? Ooh.
Yep, exactly. Zillion, the secret MVP of a lot of these games, for sure. Everybody just keeps coming back. Look at that. He finally goes down though.
You cut through the shields, and then you have to cut through the GAs as well. Oof.
Yep, it's too late. Yep, Cottontail wins that one. So it's going to be a third place finish for Valet. Not a bad result at all. And now it's Mismatch Socks versus Cottontail. And we might see our second keeper win in a row here. I had a feeling we would see more of this in day 2, but I didn't know we would see this much success with it.
Yeah, you've been preaching it. These people, honestly, you should be playing these games right now. You could take first every time with the keeper build.
I don't know about
that. It's hitting real well.
I think it's a good build. I like the build. We'll put it that way. Let's see if it's enough to get Cottontail a first here. That Lee Sin coming in from the side might be a little bit of a concern. It is only a Lee Sin 1 though. It's a nice knockup, but just look at Zillion putting the ult on literally everybody in the entire universe here. That Kale, caught in the Kennen ultimate. She walked a little bit too far forward, and that is gonna do it. Cottontail getting the win for Team Keeper again. Pretty cool to see.